Hello and welcome to Abe's book review in this case. And at this time, I'll be discussing the book Deja Dead by Kathy Reichs, which I have recently finished. I gave a preliminary discussion on it uh, a little while ago, and I made some comments there that the French parts of the story I wasn't quite understanding. Um, Ultimately, thankfully, that didn't really matter. I do want to just give with this one a bit of a spoiler alert. I mean, I realize the book has been out for a while, and if you're going to read it, you um, it is a good idea to read, but or a good one to read. As I said, I did quite enjoy the book, but I will give a spoiler alert for this recording or podcast that I'm doing, so that for those who haven't read it yet, I will just go so far as to say there was a good, enjoyable story, good character development, um, and plenty of things there to for one to to make it a worthwhile read for those who are interested. Now, for those who are continuing to listen on, here we go. So, um, a, a few things. I'll start with things that that I did like about the book. Being that I liked that it's kind of a good origin story, if you will, for the Temperance Brennan character. It gives um, a um, a fair description of her background, her and a little bit of her history up until the point that the story starts. Um, it I also like the fact that she is, although it's a broken family, so she's separated from her husband, separate, possibly divorced from her husband, but she is still a very concerned mother, um, and one who does like to be in regular contact with her daughter, Katie. Um, so I did enjoy the family aspect to this. Uh, I also like the fact that um, it did that it wasn't just a straightforward acceptance of her thoughts and theories around there being a serial killer in the area, and that she had to constantly come up with proof, come up with evidence, with uh, to kind of back up her claims that that there is a serial killer, and that the various murders that she was investigating uh, were connected. Um, I also like the fact uh, that it does go into various parts of evidence collection, of evidence analysis, um, and the various conclusions that can be drawn from them, from the various pieces of evidence, and that it's not all just fingerprints and dirt samples, but there's also the human element there as well, which she does struggle to navigate. I also like the fact that the kind of sub story with Gabby that's going on there as well, and I like the fact that it didn't overtake the main story, um, and that uh, when her friend Gabby and that it did kind of come in and out until the point where Gabby did end up uh, kind of joining the main story in her own way, and unfortunate way. I like the fact that there was a decent action sequence of sorts at the end. Not quite how I would have kind of pictured it though. Um, I am a fan of the Bones TV show. I have watched all of it, and I did quite enjoy that. And although I am in several ways seeing not quite seeing the links between the two, with the exception of the main character being a forensic anthropologist. But aside from that, there are a lot of differences between book and TV show. At least at this point. Again, this is just the first book in the series, and I will be reading more over time. Um, But so those are the. I also like, I did like the ending that there was a decent action sequence, and um, I've got mixed feelings about after the action sequence what happens at the end. Because, and here's where I'm going to start to go into a few of the cons in my mind, is that yes, while it was a good story, it did kind of drag on a bit, for me, uh, in that we the main bad guy was not someone. Trying to think how to put it. But all right, I'll phrase it this way, and hope that you, my fellow listeners, you can understand where I'm coming from. Uh, Being that it wasn't a Moriarty style character. What I'm trying to say there is it wasn't someone that she had met early on in the book, or that had been discussed or raised in it early on in the book, and then made a recurrence thing. It was just something that came in, or someone that came in lightly during, say, the last of the version I had, say 50 to 100 pages of the book, and then um, there was this action sequence involved in that character, and uh, it was all the dots and whatnot was summarized during the last 10 pages of the book, and all the connecting points. And so there was much of the book that where this person wasn't even thought of, wasn't even considered, uh, wasn't even, and their names weren't even brought up. Uh, so the fact that there was all this kind of other, in, don't get me wrong, interesting in and of itself, um, but it just didn't. It took too long to get there in my mind, and it would have been nice, or it would have been good, to kind of have these links happen a bit more step by step throughout the book. For example, um, maybe going back to because of how long these murders have been going on for, maybe starting at uh, high school, and maybe they all the characters, the victims had all gone to the same high school or something, and gave them instead of what the actual connection was, but that they all had gone there, and that he was someone from that class, and they had saw him again in maybe a 10-year reunion, um, and in between time he had this kind of a way of being able to maintain his predilections and whatnot, but there was not really any of that. It was just a straight up, okay, well, last we've paid the book, we need to come up with someone, so let's come up with this guy. Um, so while I do intend to read more of that, kind of Kathy Reichs books. Um, I've got a few others that are going to be on my plate, at least in the immediate future. Those being, I have just finished Motag, and I will be doing in the next right after I finish doing this uh, recording, I'll be doing a separate podcast for Motag by Christopher Paolini, and just generally the inheritance cycle, kind of generally speaking there. Um, so please, you kind of stick around and listen to that one, uh, and then I'll be finishing up Fourth Wing and doing a reread of Iron Flame, and doing my own podcast recordings of those as well. Uh, my thoughts and whatnot of those books as well, both by Rebecca Yarros, in preparation for Onyx Storm coming out in 2 weeks from today. Well, less than really, 11 days. Um, which I am really looking forward to reading because they were enjoyable too. But anyway, and what I do after that, well, we'll see. But there are plenty of books on my bedside table or bedside table. I've got on my Kindle store and whatnot to read. Um, but yeah, for those who have enjoyed listening, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would like you to know your thoughts on this book or your thoughts on the recordings that I'm doing. Uh, I will also say that with Deja Dead, given as the first book, I will give it a 3.5 out of 5. Because it was an enjoyable story, but um, Yeah, it did certainly have some room for improvement, which I'm hoping Kathy does, with further books in that she writes. Thank you all, and keep on reading.